I now call the October monthly meeting of the Pascagoula-Gautier School District Board of Trustees to order. We'll start with a presentation of the colors by the Gautier and JROTC. Then Mr. Johnson will lead us in prayer, and Ms. Wilson will lead us in the pledge. So I'll stand.
Forward.
Actually, take note of all 5 board members of us. And Mr. Dolphins, we have an agenda before us. Do we have any changes to it?
I'd like to add a quick discussion item regarding furniture for the Performing Arts Center. And not to take any action tonight, just to give you an update on what we have to look at purchasing. And then for a Friday update, I can send you all some information about the specifics of it. Look at an actual board item and pull from existing funding if the board agrees to that next month.
Does any board member have anything like that? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve. Motion to approve by Ms. Wilson. Second. Second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Item 1D, school improvement presentation, Dr. Pertway.
All right, good evening. How y'all doing tonight?
Great, thanks for having us.
Good, good. Gonna come to you with some new information this evening. So I'll go ahead and tell you, y'all can call me the 1 point man because we missed the cutoff to get out of this school improvement by 1 point. The cutoff score was 249, our score was 248. And that's all right. That just means we're getting closer to the goal and we're gonna make it this year. I do need the first page, please, Mr. Dodge, of this.
That's
Up one more.
That's what I've got.
All right.
Nope,
Nope. That page right there. That's where I would like to start. All right. So we're in a fresh year. This year we've set new goals. Obviously, our goal is to get to a B this year at 377, and we finished at a 358 last year. So we have 19 points to get to our goal this year. We've adjusted each one of these overall school goals in each one of those areas, and so the formula is kind of convoluted because you have to take those top 7 pieces there, multiply those times 0.95, and then add in your EL growth points. And so it's kind of a little complicated formula, but if you add all that up, multiply it times 0.95, and add in our EL growth goal, we'll get to about a 3.8, which is what we're forecasting and hoping for this year. So to know where we're going, we've got to know where we've been. So our first benchmark assessment results, you see in that top right quadrant there. So this is where our students took our universal screener that we take 3 times a year. And so for reading, 24% of our students started out at proficient, 27% in math, and 44% in science. And so the science is a separate pretest that we do each year with our students. So that's where we are right now. And then as we take our second and third benchmarks throughout the school year, I'll be able to fill in those bottom quadrants for you. So we'll have that information to look at. So I'm ready for the next page, please, Mr. Dodge. One more. Yes, that's it. So taking a look at our data here, school enrollment. I believe we discussed August and last month, so we can look at September here. So our student ADA is still above that 95% threshold we're looking for. Of course, we want to get close to 100 as possible. Our chronic absences are at 19.5%. So those are students with 2 or more absences each month, and we're still working on those students as well. But the flu and the cold season and all that has hit. So really pushing our students to get to school, making those phone calls to those parents, working hard to get those kids to school. Teacher attendance rate at 93%. So we're shooting for 95% or better for that. So we didn't make our goal in September, but October we've implemented some new things, trying to get the teachers excited about coming to work, some incentives and all that kind of thing. So hoping for October to have a better teacher attendance rate, and then our discipline referrals were 111 for the month of September, which is about 5.5 per day. Looking at the next box, talking about our allocation of funds. So we are continuing with the assistants that we hired in the spring of last year with our allotment from this money. And so, and Dr. Catchings can when he is here, he'll be able to give us a little better picture of that, but we're still continuing with that. And then we're planning, for the next infusion of funds that'll come with this year's identification as being an ATSI school or a school improvement school. So we're planning to see what we're going to do with those funds as well, but I'll have an update on that later for you. I think that's about all I have this evening. I've got my Captain Underpants outfit in the car. If y'all need, I don't know if y'all needed that for tonight, just let me know. I do birthday parties and everything.
Well, we really
so
do.
I figured y'all might. But no, that's all I have. If I can answer any questions, I'm happy to do that to the best of my ability.
Any questions? Dr. Mark, excuse me.
I got a couple. So I'm still not quite understanding how our data compares to other years when we do these school improvement presentations.
So
it's hard for me to determine if we're improving.
Right.
If we're only looking at, current month or the month before and not seeing how we did, say, in 16, 17, or 18.
So I've got our report from last year that has all of this information from the whole school year. So if you'd like to have a copy for each of you, if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be great.
And
on
some of those questions.
kind of the same type of topic as
Right.
did we meet our goals from last year?
Right. So you can compare it. I anticipated you asking that, Mr. McNeil.
So when it says overall school goal,
Yes, sir.
is the third benchmark the only thing that really matters in terms of seeing if we met our overall school goal?
And so these school goals can be based on our state testing, our MAP scores.
Right.
And so our third benchmark is where they take that iReady diagnostic 3 times a year. So there's not exactly a one-to-one correlation there, but it's a pretty good correlation. Your pathway to proficiency on your iReady diagnostic should somewhat correlate with your state testing results.
Okay, so the benchmarks are really just iReady.
That's what we use for a benchmark, yes.
Okay.
So if I'm reading last year's data correctly, let's see, with us having a goal of that at the beginning of last year, right?
Those were our goals.
Okay, so
The actual data, I don't have that in there, of
Okay.
what we actually did score on our state testing.
okay,
And I can get that to you. I don't have a copy. I mean, I don't have a pretty copy for you, but I can get it to you.
okay. Yep. And I think what he was wanting to see, I see where we're going there.
So his overall goal is a baseline from the state testing.
Right. So what we did to set our goal is our school leadership team looked at where we finished in our state testing and what we would need in basically each one of these categories to get to the next level. So essentially, it's about a 3% increase in each one of these categories.
Did our raw data score go up last year? I mean, from the prior year, do you know?
The raw data as
So we are currently at 361.
that was last year. So we went
That
from a
was
361 to a 358. So we lost about 3 points overall.
Okay.
Not what we were hoping for, but gave us some good data to where we need to go this year. Some things to change and try to improve this year.
Another question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hearing none, item 1, thank you, Dr. Franklin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 1A, school improvement presentation, Dr. Myron Hicks.
Good evening.
Good evening, Doc.
Now, I'm not going to have all that paperwork Mr. Smurthwaite just threw at you, but I'll do my best. So, looking at, let's see where I am. Looking at Calmer Middle School, again, looking at our first benchmark, we're rather pleased with where we were with our first benchmark. Again, this is just kind of setting the standard, and then as we go through our second and third benchmark, we plan to increase in that. But if you look at our reading, about 1/3 of our students at the first benchmark were proficient. In the area of math, 40% were proficient, with science, 49 being proficient. So for starters, I feel like that's a really good place to be, and of course, we're looking to increase overall with the second and third benchmark. We can go to the next one, Mr. Dodge. Looking at our enrollment, we're slightly up from the month of August. A couple students there, and then with our student ADA, went down slightly there, but again, we're still above that 95% threshold. With students or 2 or more absences, we went down, so that's a big plus, and there's a big attendance campaign going on between the middle schools in which we're challenging not only Gautier Middle School, but teachers and students to be at school every day. Right now, Gautier is day 1 for the month of August, but Calmer has been in the lead for the first couple of months of September. So we're in the month of September and in October as well. So we're very pleased about that. And we're looking to win for the month of October.
Great.
Then for teacher attendance, again, just on the threshold at 95%. And then percentage of discipline referrals. Again, we're up. I think the honeymoon phase is over, but again, those numbers are still lower from last year. So real pleased about that, and we think we're going to be able to keep them low all year long. And then, as Dr. Smurthwaite alluded to, we're still spending money, hadn't spent it all, but again, we plan on coming out of that remaining budget with things that we already have in place at home. So that's pretty much it for the month of September. Any questions?
Yeah, Dr. Nix,
Yes, sir.
I will say one of the numbers that stood out to me was the science number on that first benchmark.
Yes, sir.
It actually is.
Yeah, very pleased with that.
So I'm just curious, do you attribute that to someone putting more focus into science leading up to this, or?
Well, we have a person at our Center for Teaching and Learning, Ms. Leslie Salter, who is very adamant about looking at our numbers, looking at what the standards are in science for 7th and 8th grade, and then delivering that information to our teachers, working with them in professional learning communities. And so I would attribute just that in-depth, looking at what we need to do and what we need to focus on in terms of our pacing guides and what we spend our time on. Because a lot of times with the testing, you can waste time in areas that don't really count a whole lot for you. So just making sure that you focus where the attention needs to be. Any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Nick.
Thank y'all.
Item 1F, school improvement presentation, Dr. Kara Bates.
Dr. Payton is at a
Okay.
conference in Hattiesburg with school improvements. She just asked me to step in. I'm Michael Jackson. You know who I am. I'm one of the assistant principals. We were able to take our first, what we call diagnostic last week on case 21 or T21. The data's coming back now. Matter of fact, before I left, had about 25 emails Dr. Payton has sent to us for each individual student. So we are taking all that data. We're looking forward to breaking it down because now we actually have something we can go by. Our second benchmark, our diagnostic, will be given roughly about the first week of November. So we're able to compare and see where it gives us enough time before the state test for a semester, which is normally first or second week in December, that we can hit every spot we can, so our teachers know exactly where each individual student is. So that's what we're hoping case 21 or T21 is going to help us with. You go to the next slide for me, please, Kid. Our enrollment is up a little bit from the August. Our student ADA is down just a hair, but we're trying to stay on top of it. Matter of fact, we've been doing home visits, trying to help talk to these students, these parents that are not coming to school, let them know how important it is to get your education and get a high school diploma. Now our 2 or more is up 28.4%. We have had a lot of children sick lately. Our teacher attendance, I'm very pleased with, 96.8. Very enthusiastic. Now, look at the discipline, 329. I saw that today. So I broke it down. We are trying to stay on top of these students that are not getting to school on time. In the handbook policy, on your third tardy to your first period class, you receive a referral. In September alone, 85 referrals were written on that. So if you remove 85, and we had 30 for Saturday detention, not coming to Saturday D Hall, it puts us around 215, 219 coming to referrals. But we are calling these parents, they need to be here. You just have some students that are getting to class, we are on top of it. And again, telling the parents how important it is for them not to miss any class time. Because so many minutes every day, and these are normally repeaters. A lot of the referrals that we get, and we break them down by assistant principals, for example, I deal with 10th grade and half of 9th. I see it's almost the same ones. You know, and again, we are reiterating how important it is. And what I'm shocked at is the parents. Do you ride the bus? No, my parents are bringing me. So when I'm on the phone with the parents, oh, it's my fault. I don't get up in time. Mama, she's watching the video. And I'm not making this stuff up. So we have to also, tell the parents how important education is. And that's what we're running into. It's not the child sometimes not getting there on time. It's the parents. Normally we don't have the issue with the kids riding the bus. It's the ones being dropped off late. As you see, we're spending a good bit on case 21. Thank you so much for Mr. Ladner for pursuing that for us and for Gautier High School. And we really think that that's going to be a benefit for us to actually get that data and dive into it and see where we need to be. Also, same thing with Leslie Salters, does a phenomenal job. She meets with our science teachers, breaking down data and where we need to go from there, what we need to spend our time on, whether it's life science, whether it's earth science. It depends on how many questions are given. It was only 4 on the state test compared to 15, where you need to spend most of your time, and that's what we're really working hard at. So I don't know if I can answer any questions, but shoot something out, I'll try my best.
Well, as you call the parents, do you think you're getting across to them? I mean,
I do, and I'm just using it as an example. I had one, it was her 3rd time in 9 weeks. So which means she's been late 9 times. 9 times is 9 weeks, which means it goes to being home. I mean, because we're trying to keep them in ISI, get to work and whatever. And the mama states, well, she's not getting up in time. I've been on probation. I just got off of probation. Now, this is the parent for the attendance officer. Well, then I talked to the girl. Well, actually, it's mama. So it's tit for tat. Man, just wake up 10 minutes early and get her to school. It's important. So, but we're reiterating how important it is for our children to be here. And it's just something that we weren't as tough on last year, but this year we really are, because we need our students in class. So.
any other questions?
What's the frontline feedback you're getting on the case 21 out of the classroom?
The teachers like it because they're able to use, once we did this first data, in other words, they're getting all this back, they're able to take and build their own test. In other words, to what they specifically need. So it's a plethora of information that they can use to guide those students. And you can do individual, differentiated instruction. So the teachers are really looking forward to that and using that information. So, anything else?
Other questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been made.
Mr. Doctor, do we have any visitors signed up? We have item 2A, consent agenda amendment.
We're grouping some routine items into a single consent agenda. Any board member may request that any or all items on the consent agenda be removed and considered as a separate item. If no such request is made, all items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single board motion, action, second vote of the Board of Trustees. Request for approval of consent agenda items. Request for approval of board meeting minutes, September 9, 2019. Request for approval of personnel resignations recommendations. Request for approval of document claims for September 2019. Request for approval of student assignments and transfers. Request for enrollment of out-of-district student and parents or employees. Request for approval of donations and grants. Request for approval of removal of equipment from inventory and disposal. Request for approval of construction change orders. Request for approval of construction change record number 8, Pascagoula High School Performing Arts Project. Request for approval of final completion. Request for approval of application certificate of payments. Request for approval of 2019-2020 extra duty supplements. Request for approval of 2019-2020 athletic supplements. Request for approval of overnight field trip, CCTI PLTW. Request for approval of overnight field trip, UMS band. Request for approval of overnight field trip, PHS of 18 November. Request for approval of overnight field trip, PHS of 18 December. Request for approval of overnight field trip, VHS Drama Festival. Request for approval of special education contract for services with Chamberlain Counseling Service LLC. Request for approval of special education contract for services with DIEP Deaf Center. Request for approval of contractual agreement for occupational physical therapy services in Encore. Request for approval of special education contract for Mississippi Center for Autism and Related Development Disabilities Incorporated. Request for approval of Dr. Christy Long contract. Request for approval of MSU TK Martin. Request for approval of Nancy Sherman. Request for approval to advertise and accept bid Gautier High School roof replacement and miscellaneous district-wide roofing improvements project. Request for approval for acceptance and donation grant. Request for approval of prospective non-traditional special non-renewable license. Request for approval of final district-wide budget 1819. Request for approval of use of facility. It is recommended that all items on the consent agenda October 15, 2019 be approved.
You've heard the super. Well, first off, would anybody like to take one of these items to act on separately, on action item?
I would like 2D, the document claims to be removed separately.
Any other board members? Okay, with the exception of item 2D, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve all those with the exception of 2D?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Ms. Berger. Any discussion on the item? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Yes, you're moving that to 4A, I guess.
Is this there, here we finish?
Okay. So we'll go ahead and 4A.
Yeah, I'll step out real quick.
Are we going to document claims approval now, or?
What is that? That's on the action item that we would have. Did it read when he said that?
Potential conflict.
Okay.
All right, attaches the district document of claims beginning with claim number 1835549 through 1837128 for the month of September 2019. Is recommended the Board of Trustees ratify the payment of claims as presented in the attached document of claims.
Okay, motion to approve by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Irving. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried 4-0. How would the word that, just 4-0 and one abstention, or what?
Not present vote. Not present votes the way it is.
5A, we have the informational reports. First off, we'll go with the vandalism report, which once again looks great. And no losses this month, a total of 280 for the present school year so far, or the actual fiscal year so far. Any discussion on the vandalism? Next item, we'll go with the discipline report. Any discussion on that? Okay, hearing none. Construction update.
You always say that, I'm always scared.
Yeah.
So,
Any board member like to comment on the construction update or ask a question?
yeah. So September, -30 load. What's our guesstimation right now, honestly? I know we originally September showed -30 float. Does that mean in October, because that's like 2 weeks, or does that mean November? What are we realistically thinking?
So we're meeting with them tomorrow, and we'll get an updated construction schedule.
Okay.
And so I'd like to know what they say. What I say is realistically 45 to 60 days, whereas they're saying 30.
And that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear,
Okay.
for me here in September, -30, that tells me worst case into October, that's 2 weeks. I know that's not real. What's real? That's what I'm wanting to know. So we're thinking, I'm not nailing it to the wall or holding to it, but I'm asking your opinion, realistically 45, 60 is what you say. That's what you say.
And I'm gonna qualify that with my visit tomorrow.
As you should.
Review their schedule,
Yep.
which I hadn't done yet,
Mhm.
so.
Would you get Mr. Adolph, get the information from Mr. Adolph, and get it to you as an email about that?
I mean, this discussion we're going to have with them tomorrow we just need to know so everybody can start making better plans. We all need to get a real world, not in a negative way,
That's right.
but just in a realistic way that this is a new thing that, is just not going to happen overnight. And there's a lot of people that, are going to have a part to play.
That's right.
So we don't need to say 30 and it's actually 60 or,
Yeah.
whatever.
Uncheck the level on total float box and let it go out to where it's really going to go out to. And let's see what it says, right?
So, you know how those schedules, you can make them say whatever you want them to say. And that's,
Anything you want them to say.
which is great, but at the
Yeah,
end,
we need.
what's that? Oh, well, that was just their project executive. He left and went to another contractor.
Yeah, we're gonna have a new project executive for this project, so we may find out some better
Yeah.
truth, I guess, for lack of a better term.
We only saw him frankly, about 3 times, 3 meetings maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there was something they didn't like, he'd
Right.
show up, so that's.
He's not expected to be a hands-on type of guy anyway, so, but no, that would be great, just what real looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I'd just like to make a comment on the Gautier roof replacement. Last year we talked, and a lot of people know that the Gautier roof was worse than the Pascagoula roof.
Mhm.
But you see what the potential cost of this is, 2.8 to a little over 3 million, and that's a lot more than the Pascagoula roof cost, and we just didn't have the money.
Well, that's with all our
Gautier
added
last year.
alternates too now.
Yeah,
The 3 million would be if we did all
Right.
6 of our added alternates. That's
Right.
Comer, East Lawn, OC, Transportation Center, Gautier Middle, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's substantial, and I'm glad we're able to get it done. I mean, that is something that's, really neat. I'm just tickled that we're going to put it out for bid. Any other questions or comments on the construction update?
Performing Arts Center will probably be January, if I had to guess. That we'll be able to actually have some type of opening. It will probably be the latter part of January before it's where we need it to be. Because once we get all the technology in, then you have to work the kinks of technology out. They're working the kinks of air conditioning out right now. That's a massive project with a whole lot of wires going in a lot of different directions. So in order for it to be functional, I think it's probably going to be January. As it relates to the roofing projects, whenever we get these roofing projects done, we're looking at downspouts and some different parts of the oldest roof we have, which is transportation, but it's a very sound roof. And we don't want to replace a roof that's functional at this point. No, we're talking about moving several years ahead on roofing projects based on this one project coming up. You guys have read our bottom line as it relates to our fund balance and the money that we've got in projects that are out there. We have a very solid fund balance with very solid project dollars available out there, which may cause us to have a meeting as a work session to talk about some potential other projects this summer talked to some of you individually about them, that could really put us way ahead on our construction upgrade schedule and help us to isolate some more electronic minded projects with air conditioning and all down the road, so that can be targeted better. But that's where we are, but we're in a good spot.
Yeah. Speaking of air conditioners, how are we running in the district now?
We just got PHS kitchen, we ordered it first of the year, it just came in today.
Okay.
We're still scheduling it for the Thanksgiving. We got the new one at ISD, in the rack room. We got the new one on the Gautier girls and boys softball, baseball, got those 2 units changed out.
Okay.
And that's all we have for right now. The biggest thing we have outstanding is one of the main pumps on the Gautier loop water system completely disintegrated.
Okay.
And we've got it on order. It's 6 weeks delivery. It's been 3 weeks in the making. Everything is made as ordered now. Nobody is keeping anything on the shelf.
And that was kind of where my question was driving to. I know we've had a couple of sporadic occurrences throughout the district first part of this year where we run into an issue like that, where we didn't realize until something malfunctioned we were going to have a 3 to 6 week lead time on it. So, and I know we're busy doing all kinds of stuff, but if it might not be feasible to look at the amount of like-kind units that we have across the district, and if we have 6 of this one scattered throughout, I wouldn't be opposed to paying for and ordering a compressor for this unit, or a condenser for that unit, or to have.
We keep that, we keep that compressors and stuff, but once the compressor burns up and the coils disintegrate due to the compressor burning up, you don't have the whole unit, and so we'd be hard pressed to keep 6 or 8 units.
Sure, and that's why I said to look at unit like kind across the district. And I know if we have 6 of this, it might not hurt us to have one. And then that way, when it goes out, we can replace that one and order another one, and we don't have students and faculty down this lead time in this part of the year in South Mississippi.
Yeah, those are running about $13,000 to $15,000 for basic classroom.
Okay. I'm good with it.
I'm well pleased that we finally have the dressing room for the visitors at War Memorial Stadium. A lot of you maybe didn't know that wasn't air conditioned, and we had people there, the teams, our visitors would have to go out and sit out on the outside during the halftime. It was too hot; they couldn't stay in there. And I'm well pleased with that we finally got that done.
That turned out really nice.
Because one thing, like I say, we don't want our visitors leaving us talking about us.
They're going to do that anyway.
Well, that's one thing, they can't say they burn up in our facilities.
Okay,
We
we'll take
removed
that
that.
from- all right.
We removed that. Okay, any other questions on the construction update?
No, we appreciate all y'all do.
Okay, on the number 5B, the test security plan for 2019-2020.
The administration has determined a need, I apologize. To be in full compliance with the testing requirements as set forth in Appendix F of Mississippi Public Accountability Standards 2019 and Mississippi Code 37-16-4, Pascagoula-Gautier School District writes a district test security plan each year. Each school also has a security plan.
Does any board member have any comments or questions on the test plan? Something we have to do every year. It's pretty much the same each year. Comments? We'll move to item 5C, the monthly financial. Any questions there? Or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Dodd, if you wanted to talk about 5D, the furniture for the Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, there's basically 3 different types of furniture that we're going to have to order to be prepared to open the Performing Arts Center. One, I've already got the band directors working on the specific type of furniture they like. It's called a winger, and we'll have to do bids for it. But that's their brand that they would like to have, that we would have in storage at the Performing Arts Center, which is a good high-end band chair, stands, moving strollers for it, I mean, just a wide array of things. The second would be the type of furniture that we're going to talk with Ryan tomorrow and a furniture distributor locally about classroom furniture. But we want to make sure that this is portable classroom furniture that can be brought together in order to create ovals or circles to have where you can actually do a small banquet in the same area. It's going to be multi-use furniture, but also easily stored in the event that we've got to pull it out to additional dressing areas. And the final type of furniture that we're looking at is the furniture that we'll have out in the lobby area, which will be minimal. But we're looking at some treatments around the pillars that will be there, potentially some round couches that fit the pillars, and some small couches, window seats, things like that along there. But not a whole lot of it. We also will probably move our grand piano from the Family Interactive Center over to the lobby areas, having a piano for hosting get-togethers and receptions in the lobby, and then we'll also have a grand piano that we'll be looking at down the line for basically, and I hate to use this word because it's a misuse of the word, but almost a humidor for a piano that they have. It's a compartment that has its own air conditioning system for a grand piano that is right off stage. You can pull the piano out, put it back in its climate conditioned area for that grand piano for performances and such. But those are the main areas that we're working on right now from a furnishing standpoint. There will be a need for a small amount of office furniture there and some seating up in the control room where they'll be handling light, sound, projection and all those kind of things. But I just wanted to let the board know that we're at that phase of it's time to start looking, because it's going to take a while for some of these furnishings to come in. And we do have some existing accounts that we can pull from for that, and so we have some allowances to pull from as well. But our goal is to have at least a 200 band set up for the Performing Arts Center. And I can tell you that there's great anticipation for this center to open. I've been called by the Ocean Springs Dance Company now about the potential use of that center if it's going to be open on time, and I told them until we've got a legally framed use of facility form and the right of first refusal comes first from the school district, then to our local dance companies, that one couldn't be waited until then as far as any type of other additional recitals. But I feel it's going to be an area that's very well utilized here. But that's just general discussion. If you all have any questions about it, we're going to be meeting tomorrow to talk about some of the furnishings. But with that being said, I'll present you with every layout of everything that we're going to do, so you'll know exactly what we're putting in there. But we're going to put high quality furniture that has a good durability to it, because it does need to last a long time. And the other part of that is we have to take care of what we have, not tear it up, not let people tear it up. And then the use of facility is going to be a little rigid, so that we can protect those surfaces and those seats and even the types of concessions that you're able to have there.
Are we working on any type of fee plan yet?
Ms. Grimm is working on it right now. She's actually working very closely with Hancock, who kind of went through all the steps and made some of the mistakes, and they've reset what they do now and how they do it. And it goes along our line of having a person, at least a part-time fine arts person who's in that facility whenever we have any type of event that oversees everything and holds people to the standards that we want to have.
And I wouldn't be opposed, like we mentioned earlier, we might have need sometime in the near future for a work session on a Friday afternoon, revisiting use of facilities period. We've invested a lot of money in the turf at both of our football stadiums. We've got to find the Performing Arts Center that's going to be opening soon. We do strive to be welcoming to the community as a whole around us, but general wear and tear, period, costs money, and we can't do it to the detriment of our fiscal situation and our students and the things we have going on here. So I know for a long time, we've been very generous in our use of our facilities, and I see no reason why we can't, to a degree, continue to be. But again, I think there's a difference in generous and realistic, and I think we need to look at possibly moving more towards the realistic side in regards to some of the facility use contracts we have. Because like you said, the amount of investment that we put into all of our district facilities in the past.
I'm with you, Matt. I just think that we shouldn't lose any money.
And
We have
that's
an
my,
event,
that's my
right.
thing. I'm not saying it needs to be a big
So
source
be
of
power
profit
or whatever,
for us.
we don't, you know,
But wear and tear, just like a home or a vehicle, anything else, general wear and tear costs dollars. It does.
any other comments? All right, we need to have a motion to close the meeting to determine the executive session.
Yeah, before we do that, I do have just a couple of board
Okay.
comments. You know, first, I saw a lot of fans at the Gautier Pascagoula high school game, and I was appreciative of that, even though the weather wasn't so great. I feel like there's a lot of school spirit bubbling up underneath the surface, and it's starting to show for both communities, Pascagoula and Gautier. We, as board members, attended a breakfast that was very well attended, put on by the Pascagoula Athletic Foundation on Friday morning before the football game, and I thought that was well done. I think Gautier is starting to push for car tags, and my understanding is Pascagoula is doing the same thing for the Pascagoula Athletic Foundation. So I would just like to see what we could do as a school to assist both communities, Gautier and Pascagoula. If we can do that legally, I defer to Kelly in the assistance that we can provide, but if we can provide communication needs or anything like that to assist in pushing us over the edge. On the way over here, I passed a couple of vehicles from neighboring school districts that had car tags. It would be helpful, I know, for our athletics, for Gautier and Pascagoula, if we could go ahead and push that over the line. And then also, I appreciate Mr. Rodolfich sending AP enrollment to us. Our AP enrollment appears to be going down. It seems like attributed to potentially dual credit. Just one thing to consider, I think, is if we're in danger of losing an AP class, and it's an AP class at one high school, is it a potential situation where we could have an AP class where Gautier and Pascagoula students could go to, say, Pascagoula students could go to Gautier for the AP class, or vice versa? I mean, we already have our CCTI, and I don't know if we do that. Do we do that?
We do.
Okay, so a student in Pascagoula can go to Gautier for
Yes,
an AP
sir, they
class?
can go either way. Right now, we have GHS students that's going to PHS to take several AP courses, so that is happening
Okay,
right now.
all right. That's good. I appreciate
And
it.
that's something that Mr. Wagner has been tasked with, is to increase the number of AP offerings that we have, and also to increase the number. It's kind of on the Gautier side, we need more AP offerings. On the Pascagoula side, we need more dual enrollment or dual credit offerings. So we're trying to work that balance right now.
And I will tell you, in looking at those, the offerings are there. It's just whether students take them or not. I mean, every year we offer those AP courses when we do course selections. A lot of our parents are taking the dual credit courses instead of AP courses for several reasons. I mean, the major reason is they know that if they pay the money for that course, they're going to get that college credit. So fiscally, I guess financially, it is kind of a sure thing for them. Whereas the AP, even if they score a 3 or higher, universities may not accept that as a college credit. So that's one of the things that's kind of playing into that.
And kudos to our counselors. I know when we left out of the breakfast Friday morning, actually when we split ways in the parking lot, my phone went off, and my daughter had the previous day gone and got paperwork that you have to do to start the process towards the collegiate academy. And I got a text message from the counselor at the school. It's, "Hey, Mr. Johnson, I pulled your number out of Sam. She came by yesterday and said she was interested in this. Told her there was lots of different options and routes. School's out, I'm here. Do you want to call me today? Do you want to come by today? We can look at this road versus that road." So I will echo, I think if the students are going in there and showing the appetite to do these advanced level things, that they're being greeted with open arms. I sent a long thank you message for that he would contact me directly like that, especially on what would have been an off day, that they were still in there trying to make sure all the students got help, you know. So that was really nice to see. But I think, yes, like you said, if they're going after it, then the counselors at the schools are doing their level best to find a way to accommodate.
Any other comments? Okay, once again, need the motion to close the meeting to approve the executive session, or determine the executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson. Second by Mr. Irvin. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.